Hey, this is Shi Davidi. You're listening to The Walk Off with Scott and Adam.
Do you have time for a little? I want to talk a little bit of broadcasting with you if you got a few more minutes.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Yeah, awesome. And I mean, obviously, we're in the dead of it now, right? Rumors are swirling. Players are starting to sign contracts. Sources and breaking news fast has become just a bigger and bigger part of what you do, and Twitter is kind of moving that even further ahead. How difficult is it sometimes to confirm stuff that is breaking? And have you personally ever run into a situation where maybe a source or some intel isn't quite what you were hoping it would be? How do you continue to stay accurate, I guess, is the question.
Well, I think for me, it's who's telling you, right? And if if I'm going to, report something, I'm going to generally want someone who's directly involved, or so who has a hand in it, and is 100% certain of what's happening. So, I think there's sort of, if you create sort of an information food chain, right? And if it's something that isn't, your information needs to be coming from somewhere high up on the food chain. You may take information that you get from lower down the food chain, and then check that, cross-reference that, and make sure that's okay. And that's sometimes where you may need 2 or 3 people to corroborate something. But if you're getting it from somebody who you can be certain that they know what's up, then maybe it's one person at that point. So I think these things are all a matter of how correct you want to be, and some people are okay not batting 1,000. For me, I believe kind of part of what I've established is that if I say something, it's right. And I'm not, especially with stuff that is going to come out eventually. I don't want to kill myself to try and be first on something, when if it's something that everybody's going to find out anyways. So I'd rather be right than be first every time, and try to give people the best information about that.
It's funny how you put that, because credibility is so difficult to build, but yet so easy to just lose, right?
Well, yeah. And yeah, I think that because of the way news cycles have changed, because of the way, social media has changed the game, there are some people who aren't as afraid about being wrong as maybe they might have been in the past, because it kind of gets washed away pretty quickly. But I just think that, when you do this job, you have a relationship with, the people who are reading you and following you and, engaging with the team. If you're not going to be as responsible as you can be, then you're doing them a disservice, and that's not a healthy way to have the relationship. So my hope is that when people see what I put out there or what I write, that they have faith in it, that it's researched and that it's informed, and that it's as correct as we can get. Because I mean, look, we all peddle in information to some degree. We're all victims or products of what people are willing to tell us, and we all try to get as full a picture as possible. So there are times where maybe there's some information that there's some agenda in, or whatever the case may be. But I think that what my goal is, I think what everyone covering the Blue Jays goal is to try and just give you as accurate a picture as we can get at any given time, and not just kind of sort of chuck half court, chuck balls up at half court, hoping it finds the basket.
Yeah. So last question here for you, and I am curious about, because you're at this point an experienced sports broadcaster, you've been doing it for years, and I know that the life and work combo sometimes a difficult thing to kind of balance, right? And I know, like, as a stand-up comic, one of my biggest detriments when I first started those first 5 to 10 years is that I completely killed my family life and my social life to do this. And now that I'm like almost 15 years in, I've realized how important it is to have an actual life outside of it. Have you found that balance, and how difficult is that to maintain?
Well, it's surprising how giving up nights and weekends for a consistent basis can impact
Right.
everything else, for decades. I think that, for me, like, one, if you have a passion for what you're doing, and, obviously you have a passion for comedy, I have a passion for covering sports, that's really important, right? Because you're doing this because for the right reasons. And then I think in terms of your personal life, if you're able to surround yourself with people who understand that you have you're pursuing a passion, and that you're doing it for the betterment of your family and your entire situation, then I think that goes a long way. I'm very fortunate that my wife, we met in journalism school at the university formerly known as Ryerson, and so she understands the industry. She understood the industry, and very helpful. But that doesn't always make it easy, right? When I was covering the 2015 playoffs, that season I was gone. I did, I think, 67 of the 81 road games. I was at spring training, was at All-Star, I was at postseason. I was at almost every home game. That was a lot. And, my older son, who's pretty close to me, a little bit closer to me than my younger one, who is a bit clingier to his mom. He was like, when the Blue Jays got eliminated, he came up to me and said, "Hey, I was the only kid in school who was happy the Jays lost, because now you get to be home," right? And so that part of it is difficult. So you do put a toll on your family, but I try to be as present as possible when I'm around, and contribute and be parts of their lives. I've coached their hockey teams all the way through. I haven't coached them in baseball because I haven't been able to around enough. But, my older son is swimming competitively, and I'm always at meets with him when he's at meets and things like that. My younger son is a bit more into tennis, which not a game that I'm good at, but I try to participate in that as much as possible. And then look, I think if people are understanding of you, and you're giving of yourself to the people that you care about, then you can find a way to maintain that. But it's certainly not easy, and you have to be committed to your personal life in order to make it work, because you don't get the ability to cruise control it, because you have the gift of constant presence.
Yeah. That's great, man. Thank you so much for such insightful and in-depth answers. And we always enjoy sitting down and chatting with you. Really appreciate you coming back on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Enjoyed the chat, and hopefully we'll be talking again when spring comes around.
Absolutely. Thanks so much,
Thanks.
guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Shay.
Take care, guys.